see me, right? You won't see me. Like Wally.
Oh.
Hello.
Hello.
I think you're supposed to be in there.
Oh, I see.
Bubbles, mighty bubbles in the air. They fly so high, nearly reach the sky. Then like my dreams they fade and die. Fortune's always hiding. I looked everywhere. I'm forever blowing bubbles, pretty bubbles in the air. You have a seat.
Thank you all so very much.
David's got some words to say, but you sit down first.
Thank you.
Well, first thing, can you hear me okay?
Can you hear you right there?
Well, I suppose firstly, thank you everybody for coming. Special thanks to Tyler for bringing your mum and dad from Hull. Thank you for coming from Eastbourne, from York, from Ashford, London, Holland and Norwich. Let me start by quoting from a very nice little volume, Memoirs of an Old Man. And I quote, "When I was about 9 years old, I began running errands for Mrs. Gunner, an elderly widow who lived opposite us. My reward on a Saturday morning was a sixpence. Clutching this coin, I would walk between 2 and 3 miles to the Upton Park bowling ground, which was, and still is, the home ground of the Hammers. Sixpence got me admission to the boys' enclosure. Often I would get there early and wait at the players' entrance to see my heroes arrive. So I found myself asking, did the enthusiasm of this young fan have any effect on the Hammers? If Jim was about 9, then it would have been sometime during the 1928-29 season. The Hammers were staring relegation in the face. Anyway, Jim's cheers from the boys' enclosure must have worked their magic, for by the end of the following season, only 6 teams stood ahead of them in the tables. Let me quote again. After the game, I would walk home, elated if they had won, and downcast if they had lost. Well, it must have been a happy winter for young Jim, but sadly it didn't last. A couple of years later, the Hammers were relegated into the second division, and there they stayed for the next 25 years. But don't blame Jim. He was either at war or bringing up his growing family, which at that time consisted of 3 daughters. Can you imagine it? 3 daughters. And then, in 1959, came a son. And guess what? The Hammers were back in the first division. I'll leave you to judge whether it was a coincidence or not. Over the best part of a century, a person lives many lives. Shakespeare identified 7. We know little about Jim the infant, mewling and puking in his mother's arms. In his memoirs, he introduces us to the schoolboy. Looking at him now, even now, we don't need a photograph to imagine the bright, smiling boy, the young football fan, eager to learn. He's still there, behind the lines. The next stage is the lover. Kathleen was Jim's first and only love, and their son, daughters, grandchildren and great-grandchildren are evidence of that love. And then the soldier. Here he is, on the cover. Jim served in some of the most challenging theatres of the Second World War, picking up and nursing the wounded. I cannot imagine what it must be like to be lying wounded, waiting for help to arrive. But I can imagine the relief and reassurance so many young Tommies felt when Jim's gentle face arrived on the scene. Patricia, Irene, Francis and Stephen have that face locked forever in their memories. The loving daddy who would tuck them up with stories. Heidi, read, remembered and retold in riveting nightly instalments. And his own creation, the Jennifer Joyful stories. Stories later repeated to all our children and our grandchildren. Then there was the cooking. From sausages and tomatoes and Saturday tea to those wonderful roast potatoes after church at Sunday lunch. Grandad's lunches were always something to look forward to. Would there be ice cream with a flake on top for afters? And the games, whether instructing his children in the mysteries of the cryptic crossword or sinking a tin in the lawn for the grandchildren to knock a golf ball in. By the way, here's a clue that had Jim even fox for a while. What do boys do with toys? 5 letters.
Rhymes.
Correct.
He knew the answer.
That sort of wonderful parenting leaves its mark and runs forward for generations. Peter has sunk a tin in his lawn for his grandchildren. We have a hole for golf balls just over there. However, my first encounter with Jim was of a different kind. It was my first date with Patricia. We'd been to the West End, seen a film, stopped for a bacon and egg supper, would you believe, and arrived back at Southbourne Gardens well after midnight. Calamity. My bike had disappeared from the front garden. The front door was locked. Patricia knocked on the door. It opened immediately, and there was a frowning, frightening father demanding to know how it was I could bring his daughter home so late. Actually, Dad, I've got an issue here that I've been nursing for 50 years. And it's this. Patricia was 18 and a half at work, I was 16 and at school. So, whom do you think led whom astray? And now we have Great Grandad, a source of wonder to our grandchildren. Great Grandad. And he is still ready to play a game. Who won the game of drafts last year? Great Grandad or Sid?
Was it you?
I don't know.
So, whether you know him as Jim, Dad, Father-in-law, Grandad or Great Grandad, please raise a glass and your voice to wish a very happy 90th birthday to a much loved old man.
Happy
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dad. Happy birthday to you.
Yeah, they're not quite live. Is it lit? I can't see
Yeah.
it. It is.
Yeah, they are lit.
Yeah, they've just got
One from
hard to see playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, David, for a brilliant speech. Radio 4 broadcast Harvest Festival this morning, and the choir sang John Rutter's beautiful arrangement of For the Beauty of the Earth. And the first verse reminds us of the love which lies over and around us. And it lies over and around me in gallons and gallons. Thank you all very much.
So who's going to help Grandad blow out the candles?
Come on, children. You ready? Me ready?
Big flow,
Steady.
Yay!
Yay!